Are you thinking about a move to San Diego? Today we're going to get into Encinitas versus Carlsbad. We're going to talk about the amenities, we're going to talk about housing, we're going to talk about things to do, and everything in between. Let's get into it right now. Hello, I'm Cassidy Lewis.
And I'm Chris Erickson.
We are both local realtors here in North County, San Diego, and this is where you come for all things North County. We are dropping new videos every single week on neighborhoods, things to do, places to go. And if this is your first time here, definitely hit that subscribe button down below. If you are thinking about a move to San Diego, we love helping people relocate to the area. Definitely get in touch, call, text, email. We are here to help.
So today's video is going to be all about Encinitas versus Carlsbad. We're going to go through kind of everything each city has to offer, housing prices, activities, amenities, just kind of the layouts of the cities, beaches, all that kind of fun stuff, and kind of give you some insight if you are trying to compare, should I move to Encinitas, should I move to Carlsbad, because there are some differences. And be sure to stay tuned to the end to see who has the best breweries here, Carlsbad or Encinitas. Let's get into it right now. All right, so Encinitas and Carlsbad are two of the northern coastal cities here in North County, San Diego. You can see Encinitas right down here, Carlsbad right to the north, the 5 freeway running all the way through them. It kind of separates actually both cities from the, well, east of the 5 and west of the 5. But you can see downtown, if we zoom out a little more, downtown San Diego from both of them. It kind of depends on where you are in each city, obviously, but you know, probably about 35, 40 minutes to get down to the airport or cruise downtown. We're going to start in Encinitas and just kind of give you a little bit of the layout, what it's all about. So you can see Encinitas here on the map. It is circling this little area down here, which is actually Cardiff. So the zip code for Encinitas is 92024, and Cardiff is technically part of Encinitas, but it does have its own zip code, 92007, and it does also have its own little vibes. So today we're going to mostly focus on the 92024 area. We'll give a little bit of Cardiff shout out, but Encinitas is separated into 5 different little areas, Cardiff being one of them. Then you have Old Encinitas, which is right down here. That's kind of the main drag, downtown Encinitas. Lucadia right to the north, and it is a little more spread out, kind of bigger lots, but you still do have the 101 corridor running through there with all the bars and restaurants and all that kind of fun stuff. As you get back here is New Encinitas, some tract neighborhoods, a little more, I like to call it that entry-level Encinitas, a little more affordable back here. Village Park is one of the big areas back there. And then right to the east, way back here is Livenhain, and that is its own little jam back there. It's kind of cool. It's rural, a lot of equestrian back there. And then most of the lots back here are like 2+ acres. So if you want like a little more spread out, a little more peace and quiet, Livenhain is a great spot to be. Population of Encinitas is about 62,000 or so. So in a little bit, we'll tell you what Carlsbad is, just to kind of give you a little comparison.
All right, let's get into Carlsbad. We're going to kind of compare the sizes to start of the difference between Carlsbad and Encinitas. Carlsbad as a whole is definitely a bigger city. It's up around 114,000 people. As you can see, it's a way bigger area too, and it's split into 4 different zip codes. So Encinitas proper is only broken into 1, where Carlsbad is broken up into 4 major zip codes. We'll start from the northwest corner of Carlsbad, which is we call it the Carlsbad Village area. You can see right there, there's Carlsbad Village, which is pretty much downtown Carlsbad. There's a ton of shops, ton of restaurants. This is definitely the touristy area of Carlsbad. There's a lot of amenities that we'll go through that draw people to Carlsbad for vacations and stuff. And that village area is definitely one of them. So 92008, just kind of traditionally is a little bit older homes. The Carlsbad Village area is definitely turning over. There's a ton of like new condo buildings going up where there used to be small little beach houses. So definitely some newer options in there. But as you go east of the 5, there's definitely some options with bigger lots. The houses tend to be a little bit smaller, but just like the village, it's definitely turning over also. So you'll see some of those bigger lots are starting to put larger, more modern homes on them. So heading to the east from 92008, we're heading into 92010, which is pretty much all residential. There's a bunch of master plan communities. There's Calvera Hills, there's Robertson Ranch. We did a vlog style video. Definitely check that out if you're curious about this area. There's a little bit of commercial and business down to the south there, but for the most part, it is just housing. Just south of 92010 is 92009. It isn't marked here on the map, but it's kind of bordered by El Camino Real to the west and Palomar Airport Road to the north. 92009 is definitely the most diverse housing-wise of all the zip codes. There's a ton of little starter condos in La Costa. There are multi-million-dollar homes in the ranch, which is on the very south end of Carlsbad, and then kind of everything in between. There's a ton of condo options. There's a ton of detached homes. So we're going to head west to 92011, the last zip code of Carlsbad. And this is pretty much Aviara as a whole, but it's bordered to the east by El Camino Real and to the north by Palomar Airport Road. There are some other communities in the area. See, Aviara is kind of all around that golf course there. 92011 is mostly tract neighborhoods, mostly detached homes. There are a couple of condo options, but for the most part, it is single family homes. Okay, so let's chat a little bit about kind of housing prices in both cities. Kind of typically how it works here in all of North County. As you work your way from Del Mar through Solana, Encinitas, Carlsbad, Oceanside, as you move north, prices are going to get progressively more affordable, and that's no different for the numbers that we're going to tell you for Encinitas and for Carlsbad. So right now when we're making this video, the average home price for a detached home in Encinitas is about $1.62 million, which is kind of nuts. You could get, there's a wide range of prices because you do have the beachfront homes, the Livenhain homes, which are that higher price point. But for Carlsbad right now, we are at the end of 2020. The average price point is $1.09 million. So you can see there's quite a disparity there in pricing in the average price between the cities. And the story is relatively the same for attached homes, so condos, townhomes, all that kind of stuff. In Encinitas, for attached homes, townhomes, condos, all that kind of stuff, Encinitas, as you saw earlier, it's just a smaller city in general, but it does have a higher price point as far as those go as well. Right now, the average is about $727,000. And as you go up to Carlsbad right now, the average is about $689,000. And that takes into account what Cassie was saying earlier, a lot of this downtown kind of village area. They are renovating, tearing down some old buildings, building these new condos that are driving that price point up. So if you did take the 92008 area code out of the mix, the average price point for Carlsbad attached homes is going to sit right around $604,000. So quite the difference. And then typically here in North County, all the cities, obviously as you get closer to the ocean, the price point's going to go up. As you work your way inland, it's typically going to go down a little bit, except for Encinitas. When you do get into a Livenhain, there's some most of the properties out there are multi-million-dollar properties. As you work your way here in the middle here, Encinitas Ranch is one of the bigger master plan communities, and the price points up there are one of the higher in the kind of new Encinitas area. Village Park back here is a good mix of townhomes, condos, single family homes. So you kind of get everything. And the price point back here is going to be the most affordable in Encinitas. And the story for Carlsbad is not much different. Coastal areas right along the beach are going to be a lot more expensive. The most affordable zip code in Carlsbad is right up here, is 92010. And that's what Cassie was saying is the most, is mostly all residential, and it's Calavera Hills makes up a big chunk of that. And then as you swing down to the southern portions, there's a lot of options in this area down here. We have a whole vlog covering all the neighborhoods and the price points and things to do, all that kind of stuff. So we'll put a link right above. Be sure to go check that out and kind of explore all of 92009. And then in the coastal section of Southern Carlsbad is the 92011 area. And that's going to be in that mid-range between 92008 to the north and 92009 to the east. In Encinitas, there's only one high school actually in the city of Encinitas, but the school district for Encinitas actually spreads into parts of Southern Carlsbad. So the one high school that's in Encinitas is the San Diego Academy, which is right there off of Santa Fe Drive in the southern portion of Encinitas. And then as we zoom out, the other high school is in Southern Carlsbad, which is La Costa Canyon High School. And La Costa Canyon High School is going to be students living in Encinitas and also in those southern portions like Rancho Ponderosa, La Costa Oaks, and those areas of Carlsbad. And 92009 is actually, the zip code has 3 school districts that it feeds into. The northeast portion of 92009 feeds into San Marcos School Districts. So that is Rancho Carrillo, and what we call Old La Costa, which is just the north portion of La Costa, also feeds into San Marcos School District. And then all the other zip codes, 92010, 92011, and 92008, all feed into Carlsbad School District, which is K through 12. They don't have a separate middle school and high school district like Encinitas does. So Carlsbad School District has 2 high schools. Sage Creek is the one to the east, which is a newer high school built in the last few years, right there in 92011 in Calvary Hills. And then as you move west, you find the original Carlsbad High School right there in the heart of 92008.
All right, so let's get into a little bit of beaches. That's why a lot of people move here, and it is the battle of the beaches here. Both have about the same amount of coastline. Encinitas is about 6 miles. Carlsbad has about 7 miles, but not all coastlines are created equal. Down here in Encinitas, starting in Swamis, is kind of where the southern portion, it's actually a really well-known surf spot right down here. But going up from Swamis, you'll see most of the coastline lining this section of Encinitas is going to be bluffs. So there's only a few access points. Moonlight State Beach is going to be like the main beach in all of Encinitas. And then as you cruise up, there's a few little parking lots, but beach access is going to be a little tougher because it is, you can see a lot of bluffs, which is good because it keeps crowds down, but you know, it is also a little bit harder to get down to. And then during high tide, some of these king tides that we get, there's not much beach. It does go right up to the bluffs. So right here is another access point, beacons. And then as you cruise up north, you can see it's mostly lined by houses. So if you park anywhere in here, which is Neptune Avenue, most of it, you're going to be walking north or south to access the beach because there's not a ton down here. And this is how most of the housing directly on the beach is here in Encinitas. Bluffs with some of the houses you can see have these stairs. As you're cruising up, this is like high-end Neptune Avenue and just killer houses, killer views, sitting on the bluff top there, but there's not a ton of that beach access. And one of the further north access points is Grandview Beach right here. There's a small parking lot, but it does get packed, and especially if there's any swell in the water, you'll see it fill up with surfers. Now we're getting into Carlsbad, and you can see right where Encinitas ends basically and Carlsbad starts. You can see the topography gets a little bit different, a little flatter. There are some cliffs as we get into Terramar, I'll show you, but for the most part, there's a lot more of that just kind of park right here. You're on the beach access. And then as you're cruising through this area is actually one of the beachfront campgrounds, which are killer. So if you want a little staycation, if you're living here, not a bad area to get to and cruise around, have little s'mores around the fire. It's fun. A lot of locals do that as well. And then as you can see, as we're just cruising up the coastline here, there's going to be a lot less housing directly on the beach. This little stretch right here is called Terramar. There are some houses right along the beach as well, but it's a tiny, tiny alcove. And then as you're going up, you're getting into kind of North Carlsbad in the 92008 area. And you can see the lagoon over here. Just a lot of street parking. So it is quite different than those Encinitas beaches. As you get into Tamarack, you can see this long stretch of beach. Right here is the Carlsbad Village where we were earlier. And here's kind of like a lot of condos and a lot of those 92008 living right over here. And then here's the last little stretch of beachfront in Carlsbad. You can see it's a lot more of those homes on the beach, not as many bluffs, no bluffs right down here. And then right before you go into Oceanside, this is the last little stretch of beachfront homes.
All right, now we're going to get into some amenities that each have to offer. We're going to start with Encinitas. We're going to head down onto the Coast Highway, which is where you'll find a lot of cool shops, restaurants, bars, great spots to grab a beer. So Encinitas as a whole has a lot more like smaller shopping centers, kind of little more local shops, as you can see there on the left, and a little bit more just kind of local restaurants. And now from downtown Encinitas, we will head to the area where there's a little bit more shopping options, which is off of El Camino Real.
Down El Camino Real, it's got everything and anything you need. One of my favorite stores is the Home Depot, doing stuff at home all the time. But convenience-wise, I think Encinitas is going to be more convenient than Carlsbad just because all this stuff right here is packed into one little spot. So you're going to the grocery store, you're going to, Home Depot, there's Best Buys, Targets, Walmarts, all that right down this little strip. So you can kind of find anything you need within this little area between like Encinitas Boulevard and Leucadia Boulevard. A ton of those big box stores just packed in there. And if you cruise around, there's actually some fun little hidden little restaurants, and Rosanna's Pasta Shop, Kato Sushi, tucked into these little areas. So there are some killer restaurants too.
So now let's check out some of the amenities in Carlsbad. The Forum Shops is right there, right at the edge of Encinitas and Carlsbad, which is pretty much just a little high-end mall right there in Carlsbad. A lot of cool spots for shopping. You've got an Apple Store. You've got some great places to eat. Casa de Bendini, you can see. And then from here, we're going to head to a couple of the other shopping options in Carlsbad. So one of the newer shopping centers and options for amenities in Carlsbad is La Costa Town Square. You can see it is brand new. It looks like dirt on Google Maps, but there is actually some shops, great shops, restaurants. Oh, there they are. Right here in 92009, where we talked about Encinitas being a little bit more like local spots, one-off spots. This is definitely a little more chain restaurant. And you'll see that there's a big piece of dirt right there, but that is now a movie theater. Encinitas no longer has a movie theater. They have the La Paloma, which is just a smaller theater in Encinitas. But for new movie options, Carlsbad has 3 theaters. They have 2 Cinépolis in La Costa, and then 1 movie theater up at the Carlsbad Mall, which we'll get to. And then from there, we're going to head up to a somewhat newer shopping area, which is Bresci Ranch. It's actually grown even more over the last couple of years. You can see there's still some dirt on the map. This is a lot of really great restaurants, all circled or all in one place. So you have your grocery stores, you have a whole ton of restaurants. Pretty much every amenity you need is right here in this Bresci Ranch area. And then from here, we're going to head over towards the coast to the Carlsbad Outlet Mall. This has been here a really long time. So right here is the Carlsbad Outlets. Definitely some great shopping in there. And then there's a bunch of restaurants there on the west side of the 5. And then from here, we're going to head to the actual mall in Carlsbad, which is called the Shops in Carlsbad. Right there at the north side, right along Oceanside. This has been completely redone over the last 5 years. There's a great movie theater in here. There's one of our favorites, Yard House, is there. So definitely some great spots to check out. And then from here, we're going to head back to the Village in Carlsbad, which is definitely where you're going to find a little bit more of that local one-off type restaurants. There's really some great restaurants here in the Village. So these are more of the local shops, local restaurants right here in the Village in Carlsbad. So you can kind of see that as a whole, Carlsbad has a lot more shopping options, but it is definitely a little bit more spread out. But it's great having the options to be able to get to some of those other places. Even if you're living in South Carlsbad, you really tend to use those big box options at the top side of Encinitas.
So now we're going to hop into activities, Carlsbad versus Encinitas. Start with golf, one of our favorite pastimes here. We actually usually hit these ones over here in San Marcos, St. Mark or the St. Mark Executive. But in Encinitas, there's one main golf course, which is Encinitas Ranch Golf Course. Cassie's played. It is beautiful.
A ton. Yep, it's a ton. I played it a ton. It's a lot of fun.
I haven't quite made it there yet. And in Carlsbad, you have a few more options. You have Aviara, which is a beautiful course. On the south end here, you have the Omni La Costa Resort golf courses over there. And then the crossings up here to the north, right off Palomar Airport Road, is a beautiful kind of, a lot of ocean views up there. So it's really pretty up there.
And then one of the other big draws in Carlsbad, part of the reason they have a little bit more tourism is because of Legoland, which is just to the west of that crossings golf course. Legoland has expanded a ton over the last couple of years. They've added another hotel. There's a water park, and it's definitely a big draw for people coming to visit Carlsbad. And then just north of Legoland, there is one of the lagoons here in North County. This one is a little bit different than the others because there's actually some water sports that you can do there. There's a ton of stand-up paddleboarding. There's kayaking. There's jet skis. There's a lot of great options for playing in the lagoon there. One of the other great activities here in North County, since we get so much sun and great weather, we're constantly going to different parks, and Carlsbad has a bunch of them. They have 5 main parks, starting with Calvert Hills Community Park. And then as we head south, we go to Poinsettia Community Park. And then from Poinsettia, just to the east is Aviara Community Park. And then we head a little bit further east into 92009 to Stagecoach Community Park. And then we finish it off with probably one of the most amazing parks in North County as a whole, which is Algo Norte Community Park. They have everything. They've got swimming pools, skate park, big baseball fields, and a ton of playground and play structures. So this is a great, great park. And one of the cool things about Carlsbad Parks is they do a concert series every summer where they do a couple shows at each of these community parks.
All right, and then hopping into Encinitas, you can see there's a lot of parks in Encinitas. There are a lot more of those little neighborhood parks. As you hop around, Sun Vista is a killer little park with a small playground, and a lot of these throughout here are kind of that same, where they're, the neighborhood's right around there. If you're living right around there, that's what you're going to be using. The big one here in Encinitas is Encinitas Community Park, and that's where you have a lot of sports activities. There's a killer playground. There's a dog park there. The skate park is I think it is the biggest one here in Encinitas. I know YMCA has another one. But yeah, it's just the main park to cruise around. A lot of walkways going around there. So you can bring the kids out and, scoot around, bike around, all that kind of stuff. But that's kind of the main park here in Encinitas. One other activity to do here in North County, San Diego, is going to be getting outdoors, hiking a little bit. There's nothing, it's not like super nature hikes until maybe you get out to Elfin Forest here, which is technically in Escondido. Most of the hikes here in North County are going to be like these little open nature preserves. So up in Carlsbad, you have Lake Calavera hiking trail. We just did that one the other day, which is pretty killer, really pretty views from the top up there. Another one, if you're in the southern portion here, you could cruise around Batiquitos Lagoon. They have some trails going up and down right here, so you go for a little bit along the lagoon, which is really pretty as well. As you get into Encinitas, Manchester Preserve is a small little open space that they saved, and there's a handful of loops and stuff in there. And then as you get out into Olivenhain out here, there is a lot of trails cruising through here. There's a lot of equestrian and stuff, so a lot of big wide open horse trails, but as you cruise through here, you can kind of get lost back in this area, which is pretty fun. Miles and miles of trails out there that just kind of connect Carlsbad and Encinitas. Going into Elfin Forest back there, you could kind of cruise quite a ways back in those areas. And then just to the south, which is actually in Solana Beach, it's just a quick little shot down from Encinitas. Annie's Canyon Trail just goes along the San Alejo Lagoon down here. It's really pretty, and the canyons are worth a little trip to get down there.
We're now going to chat about the differences in the beer scene in Encinitas and Carlsbad. So Carlsbad is definitely the winner here in the beer, Carlsbad versus Encinitas. They have Bergen, which is one of our favorites. They have Roller, which is really a great spot. And then they just opened up a new pure project in the village in Carlsbad, which we haven't got to yet, but we definitely will hit them up. And then Encinitas, there's a ton of places to grab beer, but they don't have actual breweries there. They do have some tasting rooms for some breweries that are in other areas, like Culture, Modern Times. But as you can see, there's a ton of different spots to grab a beer. We mentioned it a lot, but one of our favorites right there, Brewer's Tap Room in Encinitas, is a great spot, and they always have a ton of different local beers on tap. And then one of the last main points, kind of just as an overview that we want to chat about, is the difference in business and job opportunities in Carlsbad and Encinitas. Carlsbad has grown a ton over the last 5 to 10 years. They're really trying to get businesses to have headquarters in Carlsbad. There's some really large businesses that have moved to the area over the last handful of years. So if you're looking for job opportunity, Carlsbad's definitely the winner there. There's a lot of new construction going on in commercial areas, trying to get other large companies to come to the area.
And then one other difference between Encinitas and Carlsbad, Encinitas tends to be a little more protective as far as, new construction or remodeling, or just kind of like their whole zoning and everything. The city's pretty protective about kind of keeping it as it is.
Carlsbad is just a little bit more open to new construction, remodels, trying to bring businesses and housing into the area.
So that's the battle between Carlsbad and Encinitas. There's goods, there's bads of both of them. It really depends on what you're looking for. If you want to jump a little bit more in depth into both of those areas, we've done a bunch of videos on Encinitas and Carlsbad. So we'll have a link for you right above there. So be sure to check those out. So if you are thinking about moving out here be sure to hit us up, call, text, email, whatever's easiest for you. We're getting calls all the time and just love helping people put that plan together and start making that move out to North County, San Diego. And if this is your first time to the channel, be sure to subscribe. We're dropping new videos every single week, all about North County, neighborhoods, things to do, everything in between. I'm Chris Erickson.
I'm Cassidy Lewis.
And we are real estate agents here in North County, San Diego. Look forward to helping you out. Have a good one.